And really what we're doing by building a new system is just going back to our natural state of being. Any spiritual journey is a reductive exercise. Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm a transformation guide and quantum consciousness coach. I help demystify the mystical, make the spiritual practical, and break down the barriers to personal enlightenment. So I'm working with a client and we're talking about the difference between detachment and non-attachment. And there's a very important distinction between the two. They came across a video from Michael Singer about unlocking your inner power and they asked my opinion about it. So today this is a reaction video to Michael Singer's clip, and we're going to break down what he's saying into more practical ways that we can apply it to our life in the moment and take those steps to get ever closer to that state of personal enlightenment that's always been on the inside and always been available to you. It's just the sediments of life, conditioning and programming of family, society, culture that get in the way of that easefulness. So let's jump into it.
Eventually, when you mature spiritually, you get to a point that all you want is to be free. But now you've come to understand what freedom means. It means to be free of yourself. Doesn't mean anything else. Until freedom means to be free of yourself, you will never be free. The only thing that keeps you from absolute freedom is yourself. So while you think that freedom means the freedom to get what you want, the freedom to do what you want, the freedom to be where you want, the financial freedom, etc., 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 you're still very lost, and you will never know freedom.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. It's important to differentiate what Michael Singer is saying. You're fine. You're golden. You're awesome. You are peacefully present, non-attached to your world. You're confident. You're inspired. You're connected to your intuition. You're connected to your inner knowing. You're all set. The challenge is that you also exist within a very conditioned and programmed system, your mind body, your earth suit, that is conditioned and programmed for safety at all cost. And that ends up leaving us in low-grade states of fight, flight, freeze all the time. So we're always reaching for something outside of us to fill a perceived void. The challenge is that we are in this system. The opportunity is that we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, we are not our reactions. Those are things that are programmed literally at the cellular level to keep us safe in life. And there's a saying that goes, our nervous system would prefer familiar chaos as opposed to unfamiliar safety. The opportunity is to really break free from the matrix of the mind body. And it starts with our thoughts and it starts with our beliefs. So if we can start transforming our thoughts and our beliefs at the subconscious level, transform our relationship to past traumas, that's how we can gain freedom from ourselves, from the mind body. It's not you. It's not the essence of you that we're gaining freedom from. It's the conditioned, programmed, assimilated you into thinking that our physical reality is the only one that exists. And I need to make money, be successful, drive a fancy car to be worthy, to be acceptable, to be valuable, to be valued, which is one of the biggest lies that's ever been perpetuated in the world. You are an absolute miracle just for existing. The chances of being born human conservatively are 1 in 400 trillion to 1. So the fact that you're listening to this right now, you're already worthy. You're already here. You're doing the thing. So we can lighten up a little bit on it.
And it's not the freedom to merge with God and to go deep into meditation. While that's what you're thinking, you're still thinking. It is when you become really, really clear, and it takes a real long time, and you just see, this thinking stuff is way overrated. It's really not done me much good, and it's really not doing me much good.
So another big challenge here. On any given day, of the volume of thoughts that we have, about 85% are going to trend towards negative, and about 95 to 98% are going to be a version of something we've thought in the past. It's going to be a version of a loop of a thought we've had previously. And this is the trap that we fall into. We think we know. We think we have the answer. So the best place we can operate from in life is open and curious about everything. Why that person did that thing? Why the driver in front of me cut me off in traffic? Open and curious. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe there was a bee in the car and they freaked out and they swerved. The biggest mistake any of us can make is operating in life with thinking we know, because then that fixes us into a limited reality. If we think we know, if we think we've got the answer and there's only one right way to be and that way's my way, we're going to be disappointed. We're going to be let down by others. Nobody's going to meet our expectations. We're going to isolate ourselves because we're so sure of ourselves. So being open and curious in life is another really valuable approach, a tool that we can use to stay less reactive to our environment, less enmeshed in things going outside of ourselves, which creates more of a space to experience personal freedom, clarity, and quietness on the inside. So that's kind of what he's talking about.
It's sort of like I'm working for my mind. My mind decides I'm not okay. And the moment it decides I'm not okay, guess what? I'm not. My mind decides this will make me okay, and guess what happens? The moment it decides this will make me okay, and that starts to happen, I am okay. It's like the mind's psychic or something. It just knows everything. That's what it would like you to think. But the truth of the matter is, this is the type of psychic that your mind is. I see water being dumped on your head as it picks up the water and dumps it on your head. I was right. No, that's not a psychic. That's not a psychic at all. Your mind is sitting there closing you because it doesn't like what's happening. And then it says, see, I told you you wouldn't like this. And your mind is sitting there opening so that you can feel the flow of the Shakti when it gets what it wants. And then the mind is saying, see, I told you that's what you wanted. That's what you come to know about the mind. It controls your state of being. So freedom cannot possibly be to get what the mind wants, because you are bound by the mind's wants and not wants. And freedom cannot possibly be, and this is a tough one for people, to be free to merge into God. Why? Why are you not free? You're not free because of your mind.
Well, we're not free because of our beliefs, because of our thoughts, because of the conditioned and programmed looping patterns and behaviors that we constantly experience. It's the identifiers, the labels, the archetypes, the different hats we wear, the different roles we play. All of those things are transient. They're temporary. We experience them for a season of life, sometimes our entire life, but even a full life is transient. It's temporary. We have this human experience for the blink of an eye, whereas the universe that we are all connected to is in constant evolution and constant transformation as we, on the bleeding edge of reality, are contributing more contrast in our life experience to the universe. So if we can get out of the way of what we think we know, and we can stay open to asking more open-ended questions about ourselves or our source or what we perceive as God, that can create, again, a space for more dynamic answers, more personal knowings, more aha moments, those Satori experiences, the little light bulbs of enlightenment along the way, to take root and and for us to really experience them with greater ease and peace without as much resistance.
So if you have a mind that's keeping you not free, and then the mind is saying, I know the answer, we need to learn to meditate. We need to merge into God. We need to go to India. You know you're...
Or I need to become super successful in a business, or I need to become a movie star, or I need to make X amount of money, and then I will be happy, content, fulfilled. Something I'd like to tell clients is, if it isn't enough now, it won't be enough when or then either. Because if we can't find fulfillment and peace in the present moment, no amount of anything outside of us is ever going to bring that in. Jim Carrey's got a great line where he says, I wish everyone could become a millionaire so they'd recognize that it's not the answer. And there's some truth to that, in the sense of, if we are assigning the answer to something outside of us that's going to give us fulfillment, peace, love, acceptance, worthiness, we're never going to be able to fill the cup on the inside with those things on the outside. This is a cup that we need to fill for ourselves. And the best way to do that is to lighten the load we're carrying by getting into that subconscious, rewriting programs, releasing traumas from the past, coming to new depths of understanding of our entanglements with life, and clearing up faulty beliefs so we can actually align with getting more of what we do want in life, as opposed to being on hypervigilance and high alert for what we don't want in life, which is more of our mind-body system's natural state of being in a perpetual stress response when it seems like we're in sometimes.
You're in trouble when your mind starts telling you how to get to God. That is a sure sign that you are in deep trouble. But that's what the mind does. So a wise, mature being comes to see, I am the problem. There is no other problem. I am the only problem. My personal mind is the cause of every single problem I have. It's the cause of my problems in my personal life. It's the cause of every problem I have in this world with everybody and everything. And it is the reason that I cannot naturally merge with God.
I mean, it's really the entire mind-body system, because we're carrying epigenetic information. We're carrying traumas and stress at the energetic level, at the electromagnetic level, because our systems, our mind-body systems, every cell in our body regenerates about every 10 years. Bones are 7 to 10 years. Our stomach lining is about every 2 to 3 days, because it's a harsher environment. So if we're physically not the same being that we were 10 years ago, how come we're still carrying all of this pain, trauma, conditioning, programming, looping thought patterns with us? It's because our systems are actually quantum, thermodynamic, bioelectrical, biochemical, and biophysical. And when we ignore those really foundational components of our existence, the bioelectricity, the electromagnetic field, the thermodynamic exchange, and the quantum nature of our subconscious, we're going to be behind the 8 ball, because we're not playing the same game that our system's playing. So the more depth of understanding that we can get about the actual reality of our mind-body system, the physical experience we think we're having, the more we can navigate it with ease, and the less reactive, the less resistant, the less attached to things outside of ourselves we can be, which gives us that space to cultivate that clarity, that peace of mind, that tending to the garden on the inside, we could call it.
So the problem is me.
Yeah, the problem's always us. We live life looking in a mirror, and we are getting our internal state reflected to us by our outer world. We think we look out through the windows of the eyes, but really what we've created is a reflective mirror of experience for ourselves to have, so we can either keep choosing to make the same choices we've made in the past that haven't turned out right, or we can step back internally, give ourselves some space to observe, and then we have the opportunity to make a better, more aligned decision, as opposed to staying reactive so often to everything that we experience.
Once you come to know this so deeply that all you ever want is freedom from yourself, that's all. Now you're ready. Now you're ready to work on your freedom. Then the question becomes, how do you get free from yourself? You can go through many, many techniques, and many people teach many different things. I can only discuss with you one way.
So for me, that one answer is getting to the subconscious level, rewriting faulty beliefs, and releasing and transforming painful, traumatic experiences, so we can come back to the present moment with less focus on past experiences for our safety and survival, and less worry about what's to come in order to plan for safety and survival. So the more we align with the present moment, the more we can call in a feeling of something we do want, experience it in this moment. We're actually informing our system of the new reality, tearing out chunks of the old operating system from the subconscious, and putting new, positively oriented and personally aligned beliefs in its place. So we're building a new system that supersedes the old reactive ways of being. And really what we're doing by building a new system is just going back to our natural state of being. Any spiritual journey is a reductive exercise. It's releasing our entanglements, releasing our attachments and resistance to things outside of ourselves that create more of a space of equanimity, more balance, more non-attachment in the current moment, as opposed to detachment, where we're hunkering down, we're in a stress response, we don't want to look or think or hear or see anything. Non-attachment is a practice of being in the presence of absolutely everything, even things we don't agree with or we don't like, and finding the peace within in those experiences.
then you have to see for yourself. The mind is a problem because it has wants and not wants. If the mind does not have wants and not wants, the mind is not a problem. If it doesn't want things, then it won't disturb you because it doesn't have them. It won't keep looking around to see how to get them. It won't be jealous because somebody else has them. It won't do anything because it doesn't care. Just notice what your mind does about things it doesn't want. Nothing.
So when we're able to shift ourselves out of a stress response, it's touching on what I talked about a little bit earlier, where getting to a place of contentment, getting to a place of acceptance, getting to a place of recognizing that even though I might not be exactly where I want to be in life, I'm okay right now. That's the power play. That's how we actually accelerate towards what we do want, by aligning with that feeling, even if we don't have it, creating that feeling on the inside in the moment, which then informs our system of the state of being that we want to experience more of. So it's really teaching an old dog new tricks. It's partly getting our protector and our jailer actually back on our side and helping us jailbreak the system so we can get all the cheat codes, so we can reconnect with all of those natural abilities that every single one of us has. Mediumship, clairvoyance, clairaudience, remote viewing, astral projection. It's all there for us. It's that sediment layer of conditioning and programming of life that keeps us separate from that.
That's what your mind does about things it doesn't care about. Absolutely nothing. God, I saw Mary walking with Saul last night. Yeah, and thought we were going to go eat. That's the end of it. Because you don't care. The mind doesn't care.
If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. And that's really a big factor. The more we can disconnect ourselves from our happiness, our fulfillment, feeling loved, feeling worthy, feeling accepted, the more we can detach from needing that from the outside by cultivating that on the inside, which is our natural state of being, the more success we can have in life.
And when the mind doesn't care, you are transcendent. You are in a state where nothing can disturb you. How do you like that? Isn't that neat? People always talk about where they're caught. I want to talk about where you're not caught. There are many, many more places you're not caught than places you're caught. In fact, the more you study it and examine it, you will see there's a whole universe of things. 99.999% about you don't care. There was wind blowing on Saturn yesterday. There's a little bit less on Mars's ice cap than there was before. A worm 3 feet under, 7 feet over on the field over there had a baby. Net result is you don't care. It doesn't do anything to you. You are in a state of equanimity. Here, I want you to see the depth of this spirituality. The Gita talks about this great state of equanimity. That's how you tell a yogi. In joys he's not overjoyed, in sorrows not oversorrowed. Lets goodness come when it will, and when it will depart. And lets darkness come when it will, and when it will depart. He's a stranger, a sojourner in the midst of the qualities of nature. Just as all this rivers and streams of the earth pour into the ocean, but leave the ocean as it found it. It doesn't overflow its bounds. And then it closes with, the yogi, the whole world pours in through the portal of the senses, and it leaves him as it found him, untouched. This state of equanimity is yoga.
So this is that place of practice. So when we are in a state of equanimity, we can feel all the feels. We can experience all the emotions from the high highs to the low lows, and we let all of them flow through us. Nothing gets stuck because of resistance or attachment. We're feeling it to reveal it. We're letting it flow and moving through, because the only way to get to where we want to go is moving through fear, moving through past traumas, moving through faulty beliefs, moving through the conditioned programming and patterns that we carry with us. So as we move through and disconnect from all of this trauma and stuff we've experienced in our past, we come back to the middle way. We come back to that balance of being able to experience it all and remain non-attached to it all as well. Because we're feeling more peaceful and joyful on the inside at lower grade states, we don't need to seek those high highs to get that same hit anymore. And also because we're in this more state of balance and equanimity in the middle, we're not diving to the depths of sorrow and fear and anger and staying there for a long time. We may dip in, but we recognize it, and then we can pull ourselves out. And this is really the first step on the path to true freedom, which is self-awareness. If we're not aware of our behaviors, if we're not aware of what we're saying and speaking and how we are existing in the world, it's going to be really hard to do anything about it. So the first step is to become aware of our triggers, become aware of the conditioned program state of the mind, recognize we are not our thoughts, our emotions, or our reactions, but all of those things are beautiful signposts that point us to the areas, point us to the bruises that we have, that when they get poked, we're reactive to them. So they're just signposts and symptoms that can point us to the bruise so we can actually do something about it instead of walking around covered in bruises like so many of us are.
You know that state. You have it about everything you don't care about. So you do know what equanimity is like. The problem is there are a handful, literally just a tiny handful of things in the whole universe that you do care. How many? You could probably list them. It's a finite amount, but there's an infinite universe. So you take that finite amount and you look and you say, those things mess me up. If those things happen a certain way, I freak. If those things happen another way, I'm happy. These things run my life. I do not have equanimity about these things. In fact, I have the opposite of equanimity. I am totally disturbed by these things. I'm totally attached to these things. We know about that?
That's the triggers. Those are the triggers that all of us have. And so often we allow our triggers to run our lives, and we allow our triggers to run amok. And it really is like a gremlin in the machine where it's just wrecking everything. So the key is, again, a trigger is a sign. It's a signpost pointing us to the deeper underlying condition that our system is ready to be addressed, but we really haven't had an effective or efficient way to do that. And we do now, which is beautiful. With subconscious intervention, we can guide and get to that place where all of the programs are stored, where all of the pain and trauma we're carrying with us is imprinted, and we can reprogram and repattern to gain more freedom in a very short amount of time. This doesn't need to take a lifetime at all. You can transform a massive life trauma in about 10 or 15 minutes, completely transform your relationship to it so it won't have as much of a hold on you as it has in the past. It won't be as much of a go-to in the playbook of life as it has been before, because you've stepped through the experience with guidance and you came out the other side feeling lighter, feeling freer, and like, maybe, okay, I can do this, instead of feeling like we're completely submerged underwater.
Then now you understand your freedom and your lack of freedom. If I fill you with a room with things you care nothing about, whether your eyes are open or closed doesn't make any difference. Whether they're talking or silent doesn't make any difference. You don't care. God, I tried to impress upon you, that is not a cold state. It just means you don't care. Well, if you don't care, then it doesn't draw you into it. Then it doesn't make your mind active. Then it doesn't disturb your state of being. When your mind is not active and you're not being pulled into the world through the senses and your state of being is not being disturbed, guess where you go? To God.
So when we are in a state of wholeness on the inside, we're feeling more complete, we're feeling more self-love, we're feeling more confident, more secure, more stable, because we're doing the inner work, things outside of us don't matter as much. And what that means is, let's say we're a parent and our child is throwing a temper tantrum and we get pulled into the fray and we get reactive and we start pointing the finger. See how mad you make mommy or daddy? See what you're doing to me? Sorry, nobody is doing anything to you. Everybody is living their own lives, and none of it has anything to do with you. Even your child's reactivity, even your partner's infidelity or whatever's going on, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Those individuals are experiencing a deep state of dis-ease on the inside, and they are being reactive. Just because somebody else is being reactive or somebody else is making bad decisions doesn't really matter to us unless we let it impact us. Now, this is getting into some radical concepts, and in these practices of emancipating ourselves from the prison of our mind body, and this is the matrix, by the way, this is the prison, there's nothing out here you need to escape. You start to master this, and then you master everything out here. That's the way it works. So it's an inside out job. Gaining personal freedom and non-attachment is recognizing when somebody else does something, it's because of their programming, it's because of their conditioning, it's because of their system trying to keep them safe at all cost, which sometimes looks like diving into old patterns, self-soothing or self-medicating behaviors. We're just trying to get back to that place of feeling but no amount of anything outside of us is ever going to fill that void. It's an inside-out approach. We need to fill that for ourselves, and then we can become more of that whole, centered, peaceful being that we know we are, we know is there, we've felt it, even maybe if it's just when we've imagined it. But the reality is it's available for us if we're ready to take those steps to move through all of the junk in the subconscious trunk.
Nothing's distracting the self from self. The self will fall into self. That is its natural state. Something must be drawing your attention, drawing your consciousness away from your seat of self so that you get involved in it. Well, those are the things that you care about. The things you don't care about, don't do that. Spirituality isn't what people think it is, literally. It's way deeper than that. So now you understand that there is a handful of things in your life that have the ability to disturb you. What does it mean to disturb you? They have the ability to draw your consciousness into the activity of your mind and draw your mind onto the object of caring, onto the object of attachment. And when they do that, you get disturbed. You lose your seat of consciousness, you lose your seat of meditation, you lose the stability of mind. Either it goes freaky because it likes it or it goes freaky because it doesn't like it.
And either way, we're in a reactive state. So this is this is really the key component. When we are in a state of balance and peace and love within ourselves, and for the world, we're in more of a broadcast than we are a protection. Things can go sideways outside of us, and we can navigate it with more equanimity, with more balance. So let's say our child is throwing a tantrum. We'll use that example again. One, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Two, if it's triggering something within you, that doesn't have anything to do with them. That's for you to look at. It's not for you to dictate how others should act or behave in order to assuage your inner state. That's 100% our responsibility, and it's not for us to put that on anybody else. So if our thoughts are running amok, if we're starting to point fingers and blame outside of ourselves or at ourselves, it's important to recognize that that is not even you. You're not even in the driver's seat. That's your subconscious mind in a deep stress response doing everything it can to keep you safe. So it's transforming and transitioning this relationship internally, which is the key to taking those steps to translate and transform our reality externally. So it's taking those internal steps, doing the work one step at a time, without attachment to the outcome, which is an important key factor. Without attachment to where we're going. We have an idea of where we're going. We have a desire that we're following, but we're not going to get caught up in the particulars of how to get there, other than making sure we are aligned, we are centered and grounded, and that's going to give us more space to hear our signal, to get that intuition, that inspiration hit, as opposed to being so clouded by all of the noise going on outside of us, and in here too.
To the yogi, they're the same. So the question becomes, what are these things, the very few things, that you don't have equanimity about, and how does one achieve equanimity? Because we now got it very simple. It's all about you and your relationship to the things that you either like or dislike. And that's why I always come back to the great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. Third Zen patriarch. When love and hate are both absent, everything becomes clear and undisturbed. Make the slightest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. There's a man who knew what he was talking about.
I'm going to disagree a little bit here. I feel like when we're more connected with ourselves, we're more connected to love than ever before. And it just creates no space for there to be anything else. So when we're in a state of complete immersion in God's love, in universal love, in in source consciousness love, whatever we want to call it, that's connected to our true reality. And there's just no space for any fear or hate, because love is the answer. It's been said forever. It's not sexy, it's not glamorous, but it's the truth. Everything we experience in life is either love or disconnection from love. Peace and contentment, or instability and dis-ease because of a separation. So if we take those steps to reconnect with that essence, that spark, that isness of you on the inside, that's going to give us the space, peace, and grace to recognize if someone else is in a stressful situation or making decisions that we don't agree with. It doesn't have anything to do with us. It has to do with them. And how do we make that intervention? Subconscious work, getting into the subconscious, doing the work, cleaning ourselves up on the inside, releasing those emotions, moving all the way through past experiences in a supported, guided process. And that's how we start moving the change. That's how we start making a difference in our lives and really reorienting ourselves, getting our hands back on the wheel and making sure we know exactly where we're going, because we have an alignment. We are more in inspiration and connected to our natural talents and pursuing things we're interested in. That's fulfillment. If we're pursuing fulfillment by highlighting our natural talents, identifying our natural talents, and pursuing something we're interested in, and we're able to merge those two, that's fulfillment, baby. That's the name of the game right there. And then it's not always going to be the same. We can have multiple expressions of fulfillment throughout life. And that's the key. It's not about where we're going, it's the journey that is important. The journey is really all there is, because once we get there, there's going to be something else after it. There is no end to this whole shebang. It's the process. It's the journey that is the important thing. So what quality of beingness, what quality of existence and experience are we cultivating on the journey? That dictates the quality of life we experience.
Because your mind is differentiating this undifferentiated world into what you like and what you don't like, that you are stuck in the state that you're in. So if you work with anything other than that, you're working at the wrong level.
So that's releasing resistance to contrast. Our system is going to be hypervigilant, looking at all of the contrast that it knows we've experienced, whether it's abuse, whether it's abandonment, neglect, any other fighting with our siblings, one sibling getting more than I did. It's all conditioned. Every single human on this planet is, for the most part, living a conditioned, programmed, and reactive, stress-respondent life. Conscious awareness of the triggers, conscious awareness of the reactive states, and the willingness and ability to pull ourselves out of those reactive states. So we're informing our system, hey, the old ways aren't working anymore, we're doing something new now. That's how we take those steps to get to that place of peaceful presence, that space of equanimity, non-attachment we can call it, and recognizing that nobody else's journey has anything to do with ours. We are on our own journey here in life. And we can work with other people 100%. And as we are on this path of reconciliation, of reconnection, of rediscovering that natural state of enlightenment, we are going to find helpers along the way. We're going to find family along the way that might not have been our family of origin. And we're going to have support on the journey. Part of the challenge is it can feel like a really lonely or isolated journey. But again, that's only if our perception is keeping us in that place. Thinking, oh, I'm different. Oh, I'm special. Oh, I'm the one that's doing this thing and saving my family from generations of trauma. Then now we're in the ego. Now we're in the self-important place or space of thinking that we are the thing that we are experiencing, instead of recognizing we are the observer in the experience. And from that place, we've got more opportunity to align with things we actually want more of, as opposed to just feeling like we're the hood ornament on the car, redlining life, getting hurled into the future without so much say in the process. We absolutely have say in the process, and it's a choice whether we make it or we don't.
If you are working on anything other than the fact that you are still differentiating what you like from what you dislike, you're not going to get there.
So there he's talking about being stuck in duality. I like this, I don't like this. I like you, I don't like you. we're fixing ourselves in space-time. We're fixing ourselves and embedding ourselves in the programs. We're almost like we're creating cement shoes for us, and we can't move in life because we're so fixed in our ways of being. If you or anyone else if you've said this or you've heard others say, well, that's just the way that I am, that's a reaction. That's a stress response. That's not the truth. That's falling back on these things that we think we are, as opposed to taking the opportunity to hold up the mirror, question that, and get back to that truth, the capital T truth, of who and what you really are, so that life can become play. This whole place is a sandbox. We're here, this is the construction zone. We're in the construction zone of life all the time. So the more easeful we can become in the construction zone, the more we can recognize that we're all dealing with our own traumas and our own triggers and painful past, the more we can see ourselves in the other, the I and I, the more easeful, the more peaceful, the more content we can be in the moment, which then becomes this launch pad for this powerful rocket ship of desire, of inspiration, of intention, of right action that can get us to where we actually want to go and want to be, instead of sacrificing everything to get to where we think that is, and then getting there and recognizing that wasn't the answer. So I hope this helps break some of this spirituality and mysticism down. Please let me know, like, follow, and subscribe if you're interested in more. And let me know in the comments what you think. Michael Singer, is he right? Am I right? What is right anyway? So thanks for checking this out. Hope you enjoyed, and have a beautiful day.